Four parents, 9 kids, 2 houses. Didn't really wanna talk about this. Four parents, 9 kids, I'm queer. One thing's clear, there's no dysfunction here. Four parents, 9 kids, 2 houses. Didn't really wanna talk about this. Four parents, 9 kids, I'm queer. One thing's clear, there's no dysfunction here.
Dave, hand me a beer.
Hi,
Hello.
everybody, and welcome back to No Dysfunction here. I am Toby Blake.
I'm AJ Farish.
I'm Tiff Bushman.
I'm Jake Bushman.
I like the hesitation.
And this is Jonah, who produces our podcast and has created our intro song. And we're super thankful to have you here, Jonah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
And
John.
thank you, Tiff, our official merch provider. I love this blended, not stirred sweater she just literally gifted me. I'm so excited. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So today we have been looking forward to this episode for a while. Not necessarily like excited about it, looking forward to it, but looking toward opening up this subject for a while. And it's absolutely not a subject we take lightly as parents, and we feel really protective of our children and of each other and of our son Thomas. But today we wanted to finally talk about something that our family has been through that has changed all of our lives in a lot of different ways, and that has brought us closer together in a lot of ways and taught us a lot in the last couple of years. And we've been doing this podcast for over a year now, and it just hasn't felt right to talk about this. And to be honest, it still doesn't feel right. And I'm not sure it'll ever feel right to any of us. None of this will ever feel right to any of us. So it just is. And so one of our greatest desires in having this podcast is to bring support to parents, and specifically to parents of non-traditional or broken or families where there's divorce and remarriage and new partnerships. And this subject specifically is something that is very specific, that we want to share our experience in the hopes of bringing comfort and some support and encouragement and maybe even inspiration to other parents who have experienced this kind of loss. And yeah, so I guess we'll go from there. It's a little bit of a different tone. There aren't going to be jokes today. It's not funny what we've gone through, and it's honestly really hard to talk about. But I thought maybe we could just first start by talking about Thomas and who Thomas is.
Thomas is our amazing son. He would be 19 on this earth at this time if he were with us. He's just amazing human being, incredible musician, so smart. Oftentimes when we would bicker back and forth about something, like, his points were like so good and so rational that I was just like, man, this guy's smarter than I am. He's just a kid and he's got me all figured out. But, just so smart and so aware. So, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, I was stuck with blinders of just this world on, and he could see the whole universe. Is how I felt like it was when we were together. Like he understood it all, and I was just trying to figure things out. Um, Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful boy. One of the most beautiful people I've ever seen. And I just love him so much.
I just love hearing you talk about Thomas. I could listen to people talk about Thomas all day.
I think the important thing that I've recognized in this family is anytime someone talks about Thomas, it is in the present sense. And it's not as if he's gone. Because in our belief, he's not gone. He's here with us every single day. And it's crazy because he shows us in the weirdest ways. Like, something snapped this morning and, like, I looked behind and then, like, I looked forward and the guys were putting the cones out. And I'm like, oh, that was Thomas telling me, like, you need to wait a second to go pull the car out of the driveway. Like, it's crazy stuff like that. Like, he's always there. And one thing that I hate it took me for him being gone for me to realize, but if I was preaching to him or saying something to him and he'd be like, what does it matter, Tiff? Like, who cares? And now I have this mentality of like, I don't care. You know, if someone doesn't like me or they feel really strongly about something opposing how I feel, I'm like, I'm getting goosebumps all over right now. Like, I feel like my hair is standing straight up. I'm comfortable in saying, who cares? And it's like having my Mama Toby voice over here and I have my Thomas voice over here. Like, he's always making me feel like, don't let other people change who you are or what you want. And I hold it so strongly for him because no one has ever made me want to change my mind as much as he always wants me to change my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful for his wisdom.
What's the word? The best arguer or like the most
Persuasive.
Persuasive.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is the definition of the word authenticity. Like, probably the most, if not one of the most authentic people I've ever known in my entire life. And everyone knew it. Like, everyone who knows Thomas knows that he's the most authentic person they know. And there's so much wisdom in that. And there's also so much to learn from that. I think that often with people who are not authentic, like, I know this is like true for me younger, like coming up the way I did in life and what I was taught and things that were put on me to believe. It made me a people pleaser very early, you know, like trying to be good, trying to make people around me feel comfortable with my presence, whatever it was, you know. And I think when you grow up that way and then you interact with someone like Thomas, who's so authentic and just himself and does not care if you think it's great or not, there's a learning process that comes with that, of learning how beautiful that is and how important it is for you to have that in your own life. And I think Thomas taught me that more than anybody else, teaches me that more than anybody else.
Yeah. He has, from birth, from the time he could form words or help us understand what he was communicating, he has loved life and all forms of life. And at his celebration of life, I remember my dad talking about when they were camping years ago and how they were making a fire and how my dad wanted to burn these logs on the fire, but Thomas absolutely refused to allow him to burn those logs because there were ants on the logs and he did not want to harm those ants. And that's just one of a million stories of Thomas going out of his way to care for life. So much of life that other people would trample under their feet or not slow down to care for, he cared for. And that wasn't just animals, it was plants too. He would become so upset if he saw someone at the park yanking or snapping a branch or pulling the grass out of the lawn or anything. He just wanted there to be reverence and respect for all things. And Thomas is a highly sensitive being, and so all of the ugliness and pain and suffering and irreverence and disrespect to all life was hard for him to expose himself to in this world, you know? And it's hard for all of us. We're all sensitive beings. We all have big hearts. We all care and feel when we see another suffering. And so that's something that I feel like we all appreciate in Thomas because we relate, but he was like the ultimate teacher and master of that level of reverence, you know?
Yeah, it was almost 6 years ago we went on a walk around our neighborhood here in Arizona. And I can remember exactly where we were, right over there on that road, but I think it was Thomas who pointed out that there was a scorpion on the ground. And my immediate instinct is kill the scorpion. There's a scorpion on the ground. They're prevalent here in Arizona, and it's not fun to get stung. And so I literally immediately looked, saw it, stepped on it, and Thomas didn't yell at me. He was mad, but he didn't get mad at me. But he removed him. He drove off I think he was on a scooter. And then my thought process was, oh my gosh, it's a scorpion or whatever, And what I learned from Thomas in that moment without him communicating a word, and it took me a while to get there, was, my instinct was threat, bad, eliminate, And his instinct was, why is it a threat? Why is it bad? Why do you want to eliminate it? Just baffled that somebody would do that. And when you're an adult and it's a child, we do what we all do so much of the time, which is like, he doesn't get it, And that wasn't the case. He got it. And it took me a while. We started removing scorpions from our house by trying to catch them with papers under things and, yes. to do that. And those are lessons that literally without a word, he taught to us over time. It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and with his love for nature and beings, he was fearless. Like, one of my biggest fears in life were snakes. And that was something he's not afraid of. Or tarantulas. Like, I remember coming home and pulling in the driveway and looking on getting ready to get onto the front door, and there was one there, and I'm calling him, like, I need you to come out here and save me. There is a tarantula on our front door. Like, no questions asked, hung up, came out, got it, and put it, like, over the thing. People would be scared of that. Mm-hmm. Like, snakes, spiders. I don't want to touch one, really. Thankfully, my fear of snakes has subsided. But that whole concept of being so fearless is inspiring, because that's not me.
Yeah, fearlessness is Thomas's other middle name. He took me on multiple walks throughout this town, showing me where all the tarantulas lived, and taught me all about how they stay in their dwellings. They're like territorial, and I remember he was like 3 years old, literally, because we had this big wilderness in our backyard in Utah. And he would go out there and catch snakes that tiny. And I used to be terrified of snakes. And he was at kindergarten one day, and he had caught a snake before school and had it in a big 5-gallon bucket. And somehow the snake got out, and I saw that, and I knew he would be absolutely devastated if he got home from school and the snake wasn't there. But I was fucking terrified. Oh my Lord. But man, that's what love of kids will do to you. I got my big rubber dish gloves on, and it was under our doormat in front of our door, and I got that little fucker back into the bucket.
Wow.
And I literally like overcame my fear of snakes in that moment. You know, after that, he could hand them to me and I would touch them and hold them and admire them with him. But before, it was so hard for me. But, you know, he really forced us all into having a deeper reverence for even the scary, slimy ones.
There was a time that we were almost home. We were just down the street from here driving, and there was a big snake in the middle of the road, and some cars were pulled over. So they didn't, how are we going to get past this snake? And there were a couple cyclists that were parked watching. And so we're like number 3 car in line going this way. And so pull over, and Thomas just hops right out of the car, walks over to that snake, picks it up. And it was like, it wasn't trying to go after him. It was trying to get away. So it was constantly moving, like aggressively moving. And he was just doing this fancy hand thing where he just kept on like just catch the body, let go, catch the body. He was just doing this the whole way down to like the ravine ditch. He probably walked it 100 feet in front of all these people. And like the cyclist looked at me. I wish I could remember exactly what he said, but he's just like, if I had balls like that kid or something like that.
That's amazing.
But everybody was just watching in awe. Like, he's just the whisperer of all beings. Mm-hmm. Incredible.
Truth.
We were on a walk in Scottsdale one night, just the two of us, and he's like, I'm about to find a snake. And then within, I swear to God, 30 seconds, he found a snake. It was crazy. I was just like, what in the world? And he would do that in Sedona, too. We would go out to Buda Beach, and within minutes, he would have a snake that he found. They would come to him. Same thing on his 15th birthday after watching that beautiful documentary, The Octopus Teacher. We should link that in the description. It's an amazing film, but shortly after that, in the end, spoiler alert, there's a baby octopus in the end of the movie, and one just came right up to him or something. I don't know. He FaceTimed me, and he had a baby octopus just like the one in the movie just a few days after we watched it. He's pure magic, just magic. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Well, do we want to talk about the events that led up to his passing?
We certainly can.
I don't think we want to, that's for sure. But I would say that I think we all feel just really protective of Thomas in talking about the events of his passing and all of the really like the year surrounding his transition. But I would say that it was a really difficult thing for Thomas that he began using these hard substances. He expressed to me many times how terrified he was of dying. He had extreme regret for ever trying them. He even told me that it was like an accident, like he was tricked into trying fentanyl the first time. He thought it was something else. And as he detoxed from that, when he finally admitted to us that he had a problem, his dad drove and got him. He was like an hour and a half or 2 hours away that night. And I remember Jake called at 3:33 a.m. And yesterday I texted AJ at 3:33 and the kitchen light just turned on and off like that, just blinked right as I sent that. But that night that he called his dad and told him that he was struggling with fentanyl, I had been suspecting for weeks. I think we all knew something was up, and he just wouldn't admit to it, and we didn't know what to do. And he showed me a video of that night of him flushing the pills down the toilet and saying goodbye to them, flipping them off, and deciding that he was going to quit because he was afraid he was going to die. And that night we began detoxing. He absolutely was terrified of going to any kind of rehab facility. He got really homesick really easily. He is really sensitive, and so we knew that we were going to need to detox him at home. And so we had, it was absolute hell. There's no way to describe watching your child detox for something like fentanyl. And any parent who has been through that, those are the only people on earth that could possibly understand how dark and difficult that is. And I just honor Thomas. I'm so proud of Thomas. Watching him go through that detox was the most intense experience of my whole life. And he was so strong, and he didn't know if he was even going to survive it. It was so brutal. He didn't even know where he was part of the time, and it was beyond difficult. There are no words, and he did it. And we all felt so proud of him. But what was so beautiful is, like, for him to feel proud of himself. He expressed to a lot of us, like, I did that, but it was really, really, really difficult for him to be sober. Once your brain is on those substances, it's so difficult to ever fully come back from that. And he was in a really deep depression. It was a real struggle. And I don't think we need to go into all the details of everything that happened. I want everyone to share whatever they feel is important. But I think what is important to me to share about Thomas's passing is that he was super duper courageous, and he tried so hard, and it was absolutely horrifying to watch my child go through that, and to know that each of his siblings were terrified and struggling. And during that time, Jake and I very much disagreed on how to handle everything that was happening. And so our children, in addition to feeling the intense fear and anguish of watching their brother, who they're all extremely close to, suffer through something terrifying, they were also experiencing the trauma of their parents not being able to get it together and to be mature enough to love one another and to figure it out. And at the same time, I give us grace because I know that we were both doing our best, and we were all doing our best. And a huge part of grief is really figuring out how to integrate all of that, integrate all of the things we didn't do, and all of the mistakes we made, and all of the moments that we could have done better. It's absolutely fucking brutal to try and reconcile and to not feel guilt for breathing a breath when your child can't breathe a breath anymore. There are no words. But I have deep compassion for any parent or sibling who has lost somebody like this. And especially those who feel completely cut off from them. You know, I'm very thankful that I had a meditation practice and a spiritual foundation to kind of navigate this loss with, and I have been able to have some very like unique and profound experiences with Thomas on the other side, and those are sacred and precious to me. And it's not lost on me that there are many parents out there who don't get to feel any level of connection with their child once they're gone. And so my deep hope is to help parents to and siblings and family members to start to recognize all of the ways that their child or their loved one might be communicating with them, might be reaching out to them from the other side of the veil, because they are. And the experiences I've had with Thomas have helped me know more surely than I know anything that the spirit world is right here with us, and that we are highly complex, beautiful, divine spirit beings having a human experience, and that when we die, we don't go away. We transition and we evolve and we change and we transform. Just like water in a pot is boiling, that water might evaporate and you might not be able to see that water, but that water is still there all around us. And so it's my hope that we can help bring any level of comfort to anyone who's experienced this level of loss. I love people all so much. I'm so sorry for how hard all of this is.
I'm sorry too.
It's really hard for me to ever know whether I've got the right words or I don't know. There just aren't any right words. I feel like, but to feel so much grief and so much pain, just to be reminded every morning when I wake up, like, it's like you wake up in a nightmare every single day, and just, I don't know, just constant reminders off of after that of like why it's not a nightmare, why life is still so amazing, and Thomas is still so amazing, and all of our other family and loved ones, everybody's just so incredible, and everybody's showing up for each other. And so we've got a whole lot to be happy about and a whole lot to be joyous about. It just doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it makes it easy, because just that initial reminder every time I wake up of the pain and just the sorrow, and just missing his beautiful face. And but we do know he's here with us, and it's just so comforting to know that. And so it's like, how do you even put that into words, just to have like so much comfort, so much joy, so much happiness around Thomas, of who he is and how he's with us, and all the things that, you know, he taught us while he was here, and all the things that he continues to teach us, mixed with like the roller coaster of pain and sorrow mixed with it is just, I don't know. You can feel it, but you can't put it into words.
What you said about a roller coaster on a previous episode, it seems like kind of at the beginning. Maybe it wasn't on, no, maybe it was just during a family meeting, but Anna mentioned it the other day that you said something in the beginning about how we're all on the same roller coaster, but we're all on different cars. So some of us might be on a real high and feeling great about life, and someone else might be in the depths of it, and another person might be on a loop-de-loop or whatever, and it's just, it comes in waves. It's unexpected. We never know where any of us are on the grief coaster, and you know, all we can do is our best.
And that's so true. Like, grief is so tricky, and I've learned so much about grief in such a short amount of time. And at Thomas's celebration of life, I grew a stronger appreciation for grief, because, you know, we're the family, we're the siblings, we're the parents, we're the grandparents, and there's hundreds of people sitting behind us, like, that he touched and that we're grieving. And it's not, you know, recently people have passed, and it's like, well, why is this person so sad? They didn't really know that person. And I want to be like, fuck you. You know, who are you to say it's not okay to grieve for someone just because your relationship wasn't as strong as, like, ours? And then I hear Thomas being like, who the fuck cares? Like, it's all the time. And with that roller coaster, I've heard conversations with Anna when it's like, can we talk about this more, because I'm here and everyone else is going on with their life here. And it is hard to explain, because we're not forgetting what's happened. We don't want to push away our feelings, but we do have to wake up every morning and take a breath. We do have, to still deal with our responsibilities, all while feeling clouded in our own grief. So it's tricky, and no one should tell anyone else, you aren't to be grieving. You shouldn't grieve as hard as I am. Like, it's just not your place.
Yeah, and sometimes grief might look like laughter or irreverence or anger or,
Exactly.
I couldn't agree more.
I think of right where I was when Toby called me and told me what, had just happened, what they had discovered, and I remember very strongly, still the very first thought I had, a feeling really was an immediate letting go of difficult feelings, both with Thomas and also with other people in our family that, you had mentioned that, like, it was difficult, and, like, when you have someone you love so much that is going through something so difficult, and there's still life, like, there's still relationships, and we're still parents, and kids are still teenagers, and, like, there's difficulty, and there's, like, there's so much going on. It's hard to navigate it all. And then the second something happens and you hear it all the time, it just becomes so unimportant, I remember, again, cliche, you hear it a lot, but Anna just talking at the celebration of life, telling everybody to take advantage of the time they had with people and relationships, and I just remember that feeling immediately leaving me, and the feeling of, like, this is my family forever, Like, these are the people who are important to me. And with that comes, like, the most beautiful and most difficult part of it for me, which is, like, I'm extremely grateful for every single person that's in our family, and that we are here and support each other, like, in every way, Like, it's been over 2 years now, and there's still been plenty of difficulty and plenty of stuff going on with kids and with us and with everything, and there is more patience and love and awareness and kindness and communication around everything. And it's beautiful. And it also creates a difficulty, because even though you feel the grief, and your loved ones feel the grief, while I feel like so comforted and loved by everybody, I so often feel like I don't know how to provide the same, or don't know if I can, for what some people might need or feel. And the more time we've had together and the more experience we've had together, those feelings become more eased, and like the trust in communication and love and everything becomes easier and more powerful and more all the words. But yeah, just really grateful. I get asked from time to time, whether it's about the podcast or about, like, who's who and what, whatever. Like, I just tell everybody, like, this is my family. Here they are, and like, well,
Here
who's
they
who?
are.
I'm like, it just doesn't matter, like, we're all family, and that's what I'm really grateful for as we navigate through it. And also, with all of that, still feel like sometimes I don't know how to help, or I don't know what someone might need,
Yesterday, just going on with the whole family thing, I was working at the restaurant with two of our kiddos, and I had gone to run drinks out to a table, and she's like, "Oh, I have never seen you here before." I had explained, like, I've been here, and I'm like, "Yeah, my oldest is your bartender, and our second oldest is the other bartender back there." And she's like, "Oh, well, I want to, apologize about your son's passing. You, the mom." And I was like, "Well, yes, but I'm the step." And she's like, She's like, "You're the mom." And it made me feel good. And she's like, "I'm the step." And she was like pointing out, like, her
The
stepchildren.
S word.
And I'm like, "Oh, good. We don't like that word either." And it was very refreshing, because some people are like, my kids are going to the steps or whatever, or the X's. And it's so refreshing to hear other people welcome, like, you are a family. It's not like, "Oh, that's my half sibling," or "It's my step sibling." Like, I love when I hear my kids be like, "I'm going to do this with my sister or my brother," and like, it just makes my heart happy that's our family. It doesn't have to have a divider of any way, but it makes my heart go pitter pat. I like it.
Me too. I think it's really important for us to just be one, and if there's anything that will teach you that fast, it's a horrible loss like this. It's going to either divide you further or bring you together, is what it really feels like. And there have been so many stories of Thomas healing people and relationships in his passing. It's been so interesting to hear, like you said, there are hundreds of people behind us in that celebration of life who were also touched by Thomas. And what was I going to say specifically about... Oh, his Auntie Anne, Thomas's Auntie Anne, my sister, told me that one of her good friends had been struggling for years with addiction and was just in the throes of it. And had just logged on to Facebook when Thomas's celebration of life just happened to be going live on my Facebook page. I think one of my cousins was, broadcasting it from my page for me. And she knew Thomas when he was really little, and we did play dates together, and we have sons who are the same age almost to the day. And she was so profoundly affected by seeing what happened to Thomas that she quit drinking like cold turkey and completely turned her life around, because of the way that this affected her. And I've heard so many stories, and people, Thomas's friends and even ex-girlfriends, and people reaching out to me talking about all of the things that Thomas taught them. And he's a powerful person, but what's so important is that we all realize that if we were to die today, that would be the case. We're all loved. We're all so special, and I think it's really important to us as parents that all of our children know that we don't want one of our children to have to pass away to celebrate their life. I remember after Thomas's celebration of life, Jonah mentioned something about, why does someone have to die for us to celebrate their life? Why can't we have celebrations of life now? And then in his most recent birthday, his 16th birthday, his sister Anna created a celebration of life video for her brother and took the time to do that so that we could celebrate who he is and his life from birth, now, while we have Jonah with us. And we've made a lot of those slideshows since Thomas's passing, and really want to cherish every moment now. It dawned on me the other day, when I was listening to one of Jonah's songs, that Anna was playing, that I don't listen to Jonah's music enough. I want to have every word to every song memorized, and my dyslexic fucking brain has such a hard time memorizing music, and my heart has a really hard time listening to music. Music moves me, and I'm so sensitive that I avoid music almost completely in my life. I drive in silence. I sit in silence. I do not listen to music at all. At all. And so I have to open my energies up, because I don't want my son to have to die to appreciate his brilliant music. We appreciated Thomas's music when he was alive, but now it's like the most precious, cherished thing. Jonah is making the most amazing, fucking incredible, phenomenal, spectacular music. And I want him to feel so celebrated in that, and I'm just super grateful for these lessons that this tragedy has taught us. So thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much for all that you continue to teach us in your life and in your passing. I love you so much.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas.
I remember the day it happened, when we were outside our house, and kind of feels like the whole neighborhood was there outside our house, but when we just came together in a huddle around each other, and just with our arms around each other, and discussed how the only way that we're going to make it through this is by sticking together. And like, at the time I really didn't know what else to say, but like, it's beyond incredible that we've actually done it.
Yeah.
Here we are over a couple of years later. Our kids are each other's best friends. Just everybody is looking out for everybody. Like, when we have issues as parents, we're giving each other the benefit of the doubt. Not something that we had learned how to do before. And it's like everybody's goal is peace and happiness and health for each other, and and we're showing up for each other every day, and we're really doing it. And thank you, Thomas, for, yeah, we owe it all to you. Thank you for helping us. He helps us every day.
Thank you, Thomas. The most beautiful human imaginable. I feel so lucky to be one of his mommies.
The last couple of years on October 2nd, we've watched the celebration of life, gotten an Airbnb and with the whole family, and a year's a long time. Like, you really do, like, you kind of have like a general idea of, the celebration of life, but you forget a lot of it, and it's, both times has just been so beautiful and moving, and I've loved that time together. But I thought of it because I just realized I haven't told these guys this story, and so I'm gonna tell them. But after this last time we watched it, I worked like 2 days later, 3 days later. It wasn't not very long after. And I was at work, and just opening up, had a second. I opened up TikTok, and there was this video, it was a podcast, and this lady, and she just started talking. And she said, she started talking about, she's like a medium and a spiritual, I think she described herself as a medium, maybe a channeler, can't remember. But she said that she had this spirit ever since she was 4 or 5 years old that had been with her, and it was a little redheaded boy. And because we had just watched the celebration of life, it made me immediately think of Thomas, and I was like, wow, that's cool. Like, and I just kind of sat there watching for a second, and I just thought to myself, I was like, I really felt like a kind of feeling like, oh, like, don't just shy away from, like, it's a coincidence, like, embrace that. Like, if you feel like that's like a sign, something coming from Thomas, then embrace it. And I did. And immediately after, the podcast host asked this lady if you could describe this little boy, like, how would you describe him? And she said as a protector and a friend. And we had just watched the celebration of life, and part of my talking there, like, my notes, like, talking about Thomas, like, I used that term a couple times, and it just hit me, like, very deeply, And I think something that's extremely beautiful about this whole situation is how much it's affected all of us in different ways, but growth ways, and in a lot of us in similar ways, and some other people in similar ways. But I feel absolutely like I am the most spiritually open and connected and peaceful that I've ever been in my entire life, without knowing how this universe works or any of it, but just experiencing what I've experienced and not shutting down those feelings and just allowing them to be. And it was just a reminder for me of the beauty of that, and how beautiful that is for our family.
The signs are real, and they are amazing, and they blow my mind. And I would love to link in the description of this episode as well Jonah's song, Back on Track, because it's just a really beautiful expression of his experience and his heart. I'm super duper thankful for everyone in our family and the way we've shown up, because it is a choice, and to look at what we have been able to do in coming together when it felt absolutely impossible. I mean, I know how strong our feelings were. We all know how intense that was, how difficult that was, and how strongly we felt like we could never come together and never see eye to eye and never even like each other ever again, you know? But Thomas is a miraculous healer, and our greatest hope, I think, for this podcast is to help other families really come together without having to suffer some horrifying tragedy. Just fucking love each other and be kind now, you know? And that was Anna's real message in the celebration of life. You know, she said, people keep asking me, what can I do for you? What do you need? What can I do? And she said, what you can do is reach out to that person that keeps crossing your mind. Give the hug, give the smile, give the kindness, give the forgiveness, you know, and love the people that you have, because you never know when they won't be here or when they'll be in another form. So super duper thankful for you three who have been willing to do the unimaginable and what has felt impossible. Thank you all so much. I love you.
I love you all too.
And to
Thank
each
you,
of
and I
our
love you.
children, the same, for sure.
Yeah, we see everything through a different lens than we did before, and you know, things that used to matter don't matter, and really just figure out what does matter, and yeah, just like AJ was saying about growth. I don't know. It's just, if we didn't have that desire to grow and do better and be better humans and show up for each other and just be as kind as we can be, and you know, if we didn't have it before, we certainly do now. Just having each other's backs and whole lots of hugs and I love yous.
I remembered what I was forgetting. Back on track, Jonah's song. And I was saying the synchronicities are so cool. And on the day recently, I think it was in July, when Jonah released his song called Miss Me, we literally saw a license plate that said Miss Me on that day. I mean, it's absolutely amazing the magic that has been opened up to us in connecting to Thomas on the other side. Mm-hmm. It's so cool. So, thank you, Thomas.
Yes, it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you indeed.
And thank you, Jonah, for keeping the music coming. We love it so much.
My God, Jonah, you're so magical, and I know Thomas is so proud of you. All of his siblings. Well, how are we feeling, guys? Does that feel like a pretty complete introduction on this chapter of our lives?
Well, it feels like a good start.
Yes.
And now that we've ripped off the Band-Aid, it'll be that much easier to bring up any subject about Thomas that we want to anytime we want.
Honestly, it does feel like we ripped off a Band-Aid and this can just breathe in this room a little bit. It does. It feels like a bit of a birth or something, and I'm thankful.
Yeah, I think there was like almost an aspect of it that felt like this is such an important thing and so big that, like, how do you talk about it and how do you stop talking about it? But I think what I'm realizing is you just never stop. Like, it doesn't have to, you know, we can't contain the whole story in one forever long episode of our podcast. It just opens up the door for us to share and be open and be there for each other more in a different way.
And I think it allows Thomas to be more of a part of the podcast when we're not constantly trying to protect this wound, you know, when we're opening the wound and allowing it to be like we do in our family now, you know, which is truly how we are. We never shy away from talking about Thomas ever in our family. He is always there, and he's always a part of everything we do. And now he can be part of this podcast too in a bigger way. So
Yes.
good job, team.
Yes.
Good
Love you
work.
all.
And next week we will be Tiff, our glue. What are we doing next week?
In the next episode, we are going to talk a little bit more about what we did for the celebration of Thomas's passing this year, and then Jake's birthday getaway.
Birthday boy. Yo, 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 yo. Burr, 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 burr.
Hey Jonah, will you throw up a picture of Freddie on this episode?
Yes.
Yeah. We have this pretty awesome off-roading Miata that Thomas spotted on OfferUp for his first vehicle. I don't think he wasn't even 16
No,
yet.
he wasn't. He
He's a
sat
big
in
waiting.
my garage in that car before he
Come
could
over
even
and
drive it
sit
for hours,
forever.
just listening
Yeah.
to music.
But yeah, just this cool little off-roading Miata, and he ended up selling it like a year and a half later. Doesn't have air conditioning, so it's not the best situation for living in the Phoenix area. But anyway, we got it back.
You got it back.
We got it back.
You got it
for
back.
sure.
And now the whole family
We
gets
were
to drive
so
it whenever
excited.
they want. It's pretty great.
That is awesome.
It seriously is so fucking cool, Jake, that you got that car back. I mean, it was in Nebraska, and
Yes.
the guy did not have to give it back, and that was kind of the man to allow you to buy it back. But what a treasure, a priceless treasure. Anna and Jonah took it to homecoming recently, and they've been driving it quite a bit, and it just makes me so happy. And it's such a vibe. It's so Thomas.
Yes.
It's such a cool car. So thankful.
Remember that Facebook post? Like, it's our,
Oh, yeah.
our neighborhood page. There's like 15,000 members on this famous Facebook page for our town.
That's
But
right.
somebody snapped a picture of of Thomas driving down the road, and it was like, whoever the parents are of
Like, I hope you're
of this
stepping shit.
kid,
This hoodlum.
this kid driving this thing. There's a special place in HE, and they spell out double hockey sticks.
That's right.
There's a special place in HE double hockey sticks for you, the parents of whoever allowed this kid to get this car.
That's amazing.
Oh my
We get
god.
the looks from all of our neighbors still when that thing starts up. It's so funny. People like come out the front door. Like,
Thomas never saw, I don't even think he probably ever even knew about that post. Maybe we told him, but I do remember AJ taking time to write a long comment on that post about the subtle and gentle kindnesses that Thomas had just recently done for one of his siblings, and
Yes.
all of the ways that Thomas is like this beautiful, he shut everybody up with this
I remember
novel
that.
of a compliment that was genuine and sincere and very real about who Thomas was. He was not a hoodlum. He was a fucking cool human that if you didn't know him, you weren't cool enough to know him, and I feel for you on that,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, I mean, I love the way all of us in our family just look out for each other. It's pretty cool.
I agree. I feel like our family, especially this current version of it, is like it's just impenetrable. You know, like we're all looking out for each other and making sure that nobody's trying to weasel their way in to hurt somebody else or do whatever. We're ready to block everybody.
It's the Gold Star Force Field.
Right.
Forgot there was a name.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here.
Thank you. Love
Yes.
you all.
We'll see you
Love you
next
too,
time.
Thomas.
Mwah.
Love you.
Love you.
4 parents, 9 kids, 2 houses. Didn't really want to talk about this. 4 parents. parents, 9 kids, some queer. One thing's clear, there's no dysfunction here. 4 parents, 9 kids, 2 houses. Didn't really wanna talk about this. 4 parents, 9 kids, some queer. One thing's clear, there's